Castle Panic is a classic gateway game. Its gameplay simulates popular tower defense video games, and it's easy enough for a wide range of people to enjoy it. Since then, several re-themes have happened. I've only played a few, and one of them I couldn't have traded away fast enough. But this is not that one, but another one. You could probably figure out which one I'm talking about, because if you look above me, usually it says what game I'm going to talk about, so if you just read that, you're probably 3 steps ahead of me anyway. Captain's log. Poop jokes. Stardate, God, I was supposed to look this up on Memory Alpha, how stardates work before I did this voiceover. Anyways. Space games. There are a ton, but only a few have tried to simulate the original 5-year mission from the classic series. This one does just that, but with more screaming that everything is on fire. For 50 years, Star Trek has continued to leave its indelible mark on American culture and has been adapted to literally everything. It brought sci-fi to the forefront and basically invented the concept of fandom. Star Trek Panic is a co-op strategy game for 1 to 6 players published by USAopoly from a licensed Fireside Games. Players will take on iconic roles from the original series while working together to complete objectives and strategically position the USS Enterprise to defend it from threats such as Klingon birds of prey, Romulan battlecruisers, and space amoebas. The gameplay works in the same basic framework as Castle Panic with some key differences. The Enterprise is in the center of the board, while players play cards to shoot enemies that are trying to ram and board her. So you'll be drawing from the Enterprise deck, which includes some resource cards, some other instant effect cards, and the hit cards, which are basically your phasers and photon torpedoes, and they indicate where and what range on the board you can hit enemies that surround you, much like the original Castle Panic. One of the big things that this version adds, though, is facing. On your turn, you can maneuver the Enterprise by either rotating it one facing in either direction, or by moving it forward by moving all the threat tokens in the first 2 front facings 1 sector closer. This adds a depth to the game that I haven't seen in previous iterations. You'll be playing cards not only to try to set yourself up and deal with threats, but to try to set up other players to be able to think a couple moves ahead and plan your moves. So you'll be thinking to yourself, okay, you have those cards that will be able to hit these threats, so I'll move it this way so that on your turn you can move it one more time to line yourself up for that kill shot, or to move toward an objective or such like that. This adds a level of teamwork to co-ops that I honestly really love. And that sounds weird to say be more cooperative in a co-op, but a lot of co-ops, I think, they focus too much on presenting a challenge to the players, and it doesn't really focus so much on teamwork. In this game, you really feel like you're on the crew of the Enterprise trying to deal with these together, and you absolutely have to work together, not just by trading cards, but by knowing what everyone has and then planning rounds, and then hopefully you don't pull something that just totally destroys those plans. The game also adds a resource to the game with the division credits. You need to not only be neutralizing threats that are damaging the ship, but you need to be working toward completing missions. Some of the missions have you work toward a token on the board, but most of them have you commit cards that feature the division credits on the bottom of that card. That means instead of using the card's effect, you basically just turned it in to work toward completing the mission. You commit them to that mission. Thematically, it kind of represents the crew from certain branches of the Starfleet working towards solving the crisis at hand. This also adds a level of decision making. You have to weigh the option of, okay, is this card useful to me as it is with the effect it has, or do I need to commit this to the mission and start getting that locked down? And if you're a Trek fan, you're going to love that the missions are based on episodes of the series, and they all have different objectives. You'll be saving disabled ships, dealing with tribbles and onslaughts of Klingons, and then all while committing division credits and trying not to explode. If you don't complete a mission in the number of rounds that it says, you have to choose a new one, and it doesn't count toward your win condition. This is all while you got to worry about the ship taking damage, because oh my god, when you take damage. If you're the type of person who every time a Star Trek movie comes out where they destroy the ship, you complain about it, there's more of this in there. Everything will be on fire, the ship is going to take damage, and you'll probably explode. I mean, you'll have shields to worry about, and if those are gone, then you have to worry about hull damage and threats becoming boarders, which is terrible. If 3 or more sections of your hull are full-on destroyed, then you're dead in the water and you can't maneuver. That can be devastating when you are so close to completing an objective to get toward a token, or you're just about ready to set yourself up to get rid of that threat that's really been doing damage, and then Nope, dead in the water, can't move. And then if you continue to take damage on a destroyed hull, then cards on the deck are permanently removed from the game. If the deck is ever depleted, you lose. If all 6 sections of the Enterprise are destroyed, you explode, and you lose. Honestly, this really brings the panic in Star Trek Panic. This is the most panicky of the Panic games. Most of the time, the game's like this. No, this is fine. Everything is fine. So if you go ahead and destroy that threat, and then move, that will set him up to go ahead and finally get rid of that uncloaking Klingon. Oh my god, we're all gonna die! There is a lot of Star Trek in here. The added depth with the ship maneuvering and the missions are a great addition to the Panic series. This is one of those gateway games that I don't think you'll get tired of playing. We all have those gateway games that we have in our collection that we bought when we were first getting in the hobby, and now we don't play them as much except when you are kind of showing a new player or someone who may be interested in the hobby to try to get them to play more games. So there's 2 great things about this one. One, it's Star Trek. You're going to have those friends that love Star Trek but have been intimidated by these quote-unquote complicated games. So this one will hook them immediately. This one will bring them in. They'll put their guard down and go, oh yeah, Star Trek, then I want to play that. And then you'll want to play it because it has enough added strategy that you won't be bored to tears. You won't be constantly thinking in your brain, wow, I can't wait to get through this and try to get and play something a little more heavy. You're going to be satisfied. And oh yeah, the game is hard. You'll pull some threat out of the bag that will completely ruin your best laid plans. Parts of the ship will explode, you'll lose cards, enemy ships will uncloak and scuttle your shields. That annoys some people. If you're the type of person who gets really agitated when there's a little too much luck, I mean, there is luck factor in the game. Sometimes you'll pull a threat and it will ruin everything. But a lot of this game is adapting to those situations. That's Star Trek. They would go off on a mission and then a challenge would present itself and then they have to adapt all the terrible stuff that's happening. If you don't like luck-based strategy games, this might not be for you. This might frustrate you a little too much. But if you do survive and you complete those 5 missions and you win, it'll be a hard-earned victory, and it's going to be very satisfying. It's a solid game. It's way better than Dead Panic. I had alluded to in the beginning of the show here that there was a Panic game that I couldn't trade away fast enough, and it was Dead Panic. Dead Panic was a dumpster fire. I'm not usually that negative about games, in all honesty, but I feel like if the person who I traded that to is watching this right now, I feel like I can owe you an apology. I am truly sorry. But Star Trek Panic, the gameplay is frantic and the components are top-notch. I was really surprised by all the plastic pieces, including the fantastic shields. And all the card stock is really nice and thick, which is great because you're clipping on this damage and it stays on there and it looks cool. The presentation of it's great. And then once you have the Enterprise all put together, it fits nice in a tray in the box. Everything fits really nicely without it moving around. You don't have to reassemble anything. It's great. But overall, as far as gateway games go, it's a great entry, and I highly recommend it, especially if you're a fan of OG Trek. Even as a casual fan of the original Trek, I was more of a next generation person. I could feel how much love and respect they have for the series. Like I said, all of the missions are based on classic episodes of the show, and if you get to play with someone who grew up with that, you're going to get to hear all the nostalgic, stories that they attach to those things. I mean, Star Trek's been around for a long time, and a lot of the love of it is nostalgia based. People attach specific memories to specific times where they watched episodes. So if you have a Star Trek fan that's been doing that for a long time, you'll get to hear all those stories, and it'll be really fun. So yeah, great gateway game. If you want to get people into the hobby, get it on your shelf. That's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, play more games. Later, guys.